A classic start of Vic laughing. It's classic ESP start here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Eclectic Soundtrax podcast. We are joined today by the lovely Katerine Duska from somewhere in Montreal.
Yes, currently.
Now, you're actually from Montreal, right? You were born there.
Yes. Born and raised.
But do you have dual citizenship like there in Greek as well? Because you also live in Athens. Well, yeah, Athens, Greece. You live there, and then but you also have a place in London. Are you in London too? Right? Sometimes.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in London too. Yeah, it's another creative home of mine, I would say.
Okay, cool. Like, do you have a favorite between the three, or they're all just totally rad?
They're all rad. Yeah,
they sound rad.
It depends on the phase I'm in, I would say, but I like the balance between the three because they're very, very different places.
Yeah, for sure. Now, and you've been to how many times have you been to the United States? Because I met you at South by Southwest 2022.
Yeah.
Just played here, played several shows.
Well,
Was that your first South by?
Yeah, that was my first. That was my first American festival. Actually, it was just my. So it was really exciting. It was supposed to happen in 2020. That was the first time.
Right.
I was, an official act there, but got canceled. So I was just so excited for this year.
Yeah.
That it actually happened, So it's been a while.
Yeah, I know everyone's just last few years, fingers crossed every time. Is it going to happen? Is it going to stay open? It finally seems like things are. Now, do you have, with that being said, do you have shows and stuff coming up? Are you actively booking now or have any kind of tours or anything?
Well, I mean, we're definitely working on that. I'm actually right now working on my next EP. So I've kind of prioritizing, top of my list right now, but it's, playing in the US is something that I'm definitely, it's very interested in, something that I've been waiting for a while. So yeah, it's definitely in our plans.
So let's see, your first album, I'm trying to go back to, where am I looking over here, crying out loud, Spotify. I did listen to a lot of your music. I really dig it. Mm-hmm. Your first album, dang it, what's the title of it?
That's Embodiment. Yeah.
That was 2015, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 2016, 2015. Yeah. That was a while ago. That was, that was done in Greece. I feel like fruit, to be honest, but it's like one of those first experiences that always, stay with you. I feel.
Well, you did something right, because your song "Fire Away," right, was used like for an advertising campaign in Canada.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
What's about that?
Yeah.
What was that all about? Like, what would that use for?
You mean the song?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just part of the official like Nescafe Canada annual campaign.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was really not expected, but it was fun. Basically, just the way that the whole first album came about was I had uploaded a song of mine on YouTube, and I mean, back then I really, I was like really just off the map completely, and for me it was just like it was a very experimental thing. It was like my first like little attempt, to just create a song like as a solo artist and put it out there, basically just to attract, like different musicians and collaborations and stuff like that. For me, it wasn't something, I didn't really expect to get signed with that song or for that song to be, to do well or to be on the radio. So and that's kind of how the record deal in Greece came along right after that song. And then after that, I started kind of working outside of Greece a lot. That was my goal all along, because working in Greece as an artist that does English music, music writes lyrics in English. Mm-hmm. It's not the orthodox, way to do things. So I mean, for me, it was always very important to be able to communicate my songs, to a broader audience, of course, to whoever wants to listen. And growing up as a trilingual, Canadian, that was always, I just always felt the need to communicate, with many different people, and also just kind of an ease to it also.
So the trilingual, so I'm from Canada, I'm assuming English and French, right?
Yeah, I mean, English and French, of course, when you're growing up in Montreal, that's
right.
Standard. And because I grew up in a Greek home, my parents were both Greek immigrants, they lived many, many years in Montreal. That was all, like a mother tongue to me, and what else? And then I did a bit of Spanish in high school. So I always felt comfortable with languages in general.
I see Vic's little smirk over there. Like, that's how Vic and I met. We met in a Spanish class and
we did.
Realized that neither one of us were meant to be bilingual, let alone trilingual or whatever, quadrilingual or whatever you were shooting for. But I remember our teacher was one of those guys. And I think it must get a little easier once you speak a few dialects and there's crossover. You start to understand the language, right? Like, he spoke like 18 languages and...
Whoa.
Maybe not 18, but I think that dude spoke like at least 8. It was insane. Like,
he was fully immersed in the culture.
Yeah. Language junkie.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, for us, because we were fluent in French, it was easy. Spanish was an easy puzzle. Yeah.
How does Greek relate to that? Is that is that like a more sort of an old world language? Like, kind of, is it different, or does it feel? Is there any crossover there?
No, I mean, we definitely have a lot of words that we use in English that are originally Greek.
Wait, what? I thought the Greeks stole from the English. Yeah, like English is just this hybrid mix of everyone else's shit, right? We're just like, and then just this Latin word, I guess. That's cool. Yeah, that's fascinating to have that skill. And then, so you sing in English, but you do have songs in Greek. I remember seeing you perform. Yeah. I think you did perform.
Yeah.
One or two that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So really for you, the start that really kind of got you on the map was the song Fire Away and the Canadian campaign, and then leading to the record deal, I think you said, right, where you ended up going to Greece.
The song was 1 in a Million. That was
1 in a Million was the song on.
Yeah, and then from that album, Fire Away was selected for that campaign.
I see. And then in 2019, oh wow, is this real on Valentine's Day? That was an announcement. I guess I'm looking at a press thing. So, but yeah, you competed in the Eurovision Song Contest in 2019 in Tel Aviv, right? With Better Love, which is an awesome song. That was a single, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow, what was that like? Tell us about that.
That was just madness.
Was it like kind of like so basically like our version, like American Idol, that this sort of like competition deal? Is that what that was, kind of thing?
I mean, kind of, but not exactly.
Ridiculous.
Kind of, but not exactly. I mean, it's massive. You have to be selected by your country. So that was a really big honor to be, selected by Greece to represent Greece in that competition. And there are how many countries participate in Eurovision? I think 40 countries participate.
Oh wow.
41 countries, something like that. So it's a one of a kind, really. I don't really think you can compare it with any other musical contest, because it's really one of a kind. But yeah, crazy, with its ups and its downs, and the pros and the cons. I mean, it was an insane experience like no other.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that just gave you a ton of exposure, right? And really,
yeah, of course, a ton of exposure. I mean, definitely helped me broaden my audience, my fan base. But for me, the most important thing was that I really felt like I grew so much from that experience. That was just the fact that, because it was really, really, really intense. It was the most intense thing,
of course, yeah,
I experienced in music. So I just felt like, I don't know, it was like a master class or something, and just
performance, like, I mean, just calming your nerves, right? Like having to step up to that level, and you're performing live in front of a big audience, right? And it's televised.
Of course, but it's not just that, it's also just putting a show like that together, because it's a funny thing. Like, every country, obviously, every country has their own resources and their own budget, and it's not always, like, we're not always like playing like on equal terms. So I mean, maybe for some delegations it was an easier task. For a small country like Greece, it's something that and of course I always want to be involved in everything. That's kind of the way that I work as an artist anyway, but I really had to be involved in every single aspect of it, and that was extremely, a very difficult thing to undertake. So, but at the same time, I felt like it was, because it was like a 6-month period, really, where it was like 16 hours a day working, like no breaks at all. It was really intense. It was like a crazy boot camp, and the fact that all of that had, the platform was like 200 million people watching. But even just, again, it's not just about the show. I kind of felt like the show itself was practically, probably like the most relaxing aspect of it. But yeah, it's just a crazy, really, I felt like it was like a PhD on, for, performing arts or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, I imagine then with that, have you been performing since you were young? Do you play like various? I'm guessing you play piano. You have a piano sitting there, and you write your own songs. You have some co-writers, but you do write, your own music.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And that's something you've been doing for a long time?
No, actually, it's not. I'm definitely a late bloomer. Because I always loved music, of course. And I had done a bit of piano when I was a child, and I was self-taught as a singer for many, many years. Eventually I started, getting trained as a singer, but in my teenage years, I was just kind of doing everything by myself. I always really loved music, but I was a really shy person, and I was also really good in school. So I ended up getting into law school, and kind of, it took me a while to come to terms with, what I need to be doing. Obviously right now it feels like it's such a huge part of who I am. Like, I really can't imagine myself without music, but I'm not one of those cases, that grew up in an environment where that was easily cultivated. Like I didn't really have any musicians on both, sides of the family, really. And my parents really didn't understand what I wanted to do or what is it that I was doing. So yeah, I kind of had to build that up by myself from scratch and learn a lot through my mistakes, like error and trial and stuff. But I think that I always feel like I can't really even relate to that part of me before doing music. It really feels like another person. So yeah, I'm sorry, I actually forgot the question.
I don't remember. I don't remember. I was just sitting here thinking, my God, here you are. Like, music became this sort of like, not that it wasn't a passion. Obviously, you said you sang when you were young and everything. It was always something that you loved. But here you are learning, every language and going to law school. And all of a sudden you're like, I guess I'll do music too. I don't have enough on my plate.
No, it really felt like it was vital to me. I really started discovering myself when I made that decision. So, it had to happen. So I've always been a supporter of, we need to be doing what we love. We need to be doing what feels.
Love. That's great. What was your, always you've been singing, right? But you play piano, did you start studying that? Like, when did that come about?
Yeah, well, when I was around 18, I took up, I started playing classical guitar. And I remember I was like working 3 jobs at the time just so I could just so I was able to pay for my guitar lessons and then my singing lessons, and then a bit of piano, and the songwriting. Like, I wanted to play the guitar not to become this amazing guitarist. Like, I was really focused on just singing and writing songs. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write songs. So I needed to play an instrument in order to feel like I could force melodies and lyrics, not just lyrics. So that's kind of how it started. And then that's it. I started writing songs on my own. In the beginning, I wanted to form a band, and I felt, I tried that for a while, and I felt like it was such a difficult thing. I really feel like it's something that you really need to be blessed with a lot of luck.
Tell me about it. I had a band for like 15 years. I'm just like, now, can you stay together, a group of guys, after 30 of them? It's a lot. It's very hard. When you toured, when you came here, you were actually, and I wanted to mention Leon of Athens too, because I'm curious how you guys met. But you guys, basically, when you toured here, you had a shared band. Is that right? That kind of.
Yeah, well, that was just for South by. It's not something that we usually do.
But logistically, I mean, it makes sense for a huge leap like that to do, a handful of shows.
Of course. And also because, we all know each other. We're all like, our drummer is my brother,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like a family. So it's great to tour like this, to be honest. Like, it's a blessing to tour with people you're so close to. It's amazing. It's really amazing. I wish it was like that all the time.
I want to come back to this because I'm curious about this. Will be the next question. Do you have different bands, like one in Montreal, one in Greece, that kind of thing? But before that, did you end up eating barbecue when you were in Austin? Remember we were talking about barbecue? Did you guys get your barbecue in?
I did.
Where'd you go?
Terry's Black.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I've had that place. That good place. It's definitely reputable. I know the name.
Oh, it's really
it was extremely good.
Okay, good. Glad you got that in. Glad you did that right. And did you have Tex-Mex? Did you do the Tex-Mex while you're down here? Get your Mexican food?
No, I didn't do. No, I didn't really do the Tex-Mex. I wanted to, but we had so many shows also scheduled, and usually like I tried to kind of take care of my diet a little bit.
Yeah, no, you don't really want to go eat like a gigantic,
it's not. I ended up
where you go perform.
After our last show in Texas, but yeah, in general, I like to keep it light.
Right.
Just for the sake.
Yeah, next time you play South by, like after all your shows are done and you have a day you can lay in the hotel room with your pants unbuttoned, we'll treat you to Mexican food.
Stretchy pants.
Yes, wear your stretchy pants.
Yeah.
So back to the bands. Do you have a band, like a consistent band, or do you have different people that sort of will in different places that you can use?
Well, now I have different people. Yeah, I have people. If I'm playing in Athens, I'm gonna play with my people based in Athens. If I'm playing in London, sometimes I'll bring some of my musicians from Athens, but maybe with someone from London. And obviously when I'm here in North America, my brother is actually based in Montreal, so
that's nice for that part of it. How far of a flight is it from Greece to London?
For Greece to Montreal, it's around 10 hours.
10. What about to London? That's not too bad, is it?
Like 3 hours, 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why it's easy. It's easy. London and Greece is very easy.
So on your recent music, so Better was a single in 2019, I believe, right?
Yeah, that
or Better Love, I mean, and then
and that was actually.
Go ahead. Sorry,
that was actually the first time that I started working with collaborators outside of Greece when I started kind of creating a circle in London. So that's why for me it was very, it was like a key kind of song and period. It was very important on many levels. But that was actually, what I really wanted to start branching out and start working with people in, other territories and other markets. And I'm really happy that I got to do that. Better Love was the first song, but then everything I've done after Better Love, every single after that, and my latest EP, Call Me Neeks, was all co-written and produced in London.
Okay, and do you have kind of sort of various people? Because I do see like Leon of Athens credits on there. I guess a co-writer of some stuff and producer even, and you kind of have a team that you work with.
Yeah, Leon is someone that I work with a lot from Greece. He's for sure my most stable collaborator in Greece. But he also he's been working in London for many, many years, and he was living in London for many years.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, we did Better Love with Leon and David Sneddon. And David, he was always on my wish list because he had written national anthem, Lana Del Rey's national anthem.
Oh, wow.
And I always loved that song so much. In general, like I was obsessed with that album. So Better Love was kind of like the moment where I met David, and Leon and I wrote the song with David. And after that, I mean, I think we've written like 20 songs with David. I don't know. He's become again like our closest, mine and Leon's, one of our closest collaborators, and we really love it. And the Call Me Nick EP I did with David alone. It was just us for the whole EP.
Yeah, all those songs are really cool. Like I love the title track, Athenian Skies is awesome. Of Time, Muse. Now with that EP, did you released a lot of those songs like as singles, and then they sort of culminated on the as an EP, right? Yeah. That's kind of, I mean, for me, that's my most beloved and representative work. Okay, obviously it's recent, right.
My most recent work, but something that I'm very, very proud of. And I felt like it took me years of maturing and kind of trying to find like my sound and what I wanted to say. And that's a really good, it's very representative of that, very indicative. But because it was supposed to come out, I had just finished producing it right before the pandemic struck. That was like February of 2022, late February, and I was actually getting ready to come to South by and play it. And because everything just went on hold, we started doing like single after single after single, but it was just such a difficult time to even shoot anything in Athens, and it was very, very difficult, to kind of have a schedule like you were supposed to initially have. So it took me a while to unfold it. Under other circumstances, it wouldn't have taken me this long. But I'm happy that I did it the way that I did, because I just didn't want to just put the EP out there, without any visual
support. Yeah, exactly. So kind of like videos and I mean, and at that time, there's not much else you can do. Like, that brings me to that question of just like, what was all the lockdown and were you in Greece at the onset of the pandemic and basically just stuck there? Then you couldn't leave, nobody could go.
Yeah, pretty much. My life before the pandemic, and with like Eurovision being like, right before the pandemic for me, it was really like 2 months in Athens, 2 weeks in Athens, 2 weeks in London, like nonstop. It was just living in a suitcase practically. And that's kind of, I was like, I've been working for years to actually have that kind of rhythm in my life. And I'm happy with that. I feel very comfortable with that. I don't like staying put too much, but the pandemic, obviously it wasn't an option. So it was tough for 2 years. In the beginning, it was okay. I was like, wow, okay, so this is what a break feels like,
Right.
Wow. So maybe, that was needed. But after that, I really tried to do whatever I could. I tried to stay as productive as possible. And we did some shows in Athens, obviously, like socially distanced and stuff, and live streams. And we did quite a few things. But again, it definitely was not those couple of years that were supposed to be, or we were planning on being. And yeah, so this is why right now, that again, with South by, it was the first time I actually left.
Right.
And play music outside of the country after such a long time. And that was also one of the reasons why it was so important. And actually, I haven't returned yet. So I'm like, I've been in the US for how long now? Almost 2 months.
Oh, just back in Montreal, right? So I think you were supposed to go back, I guess, and then you extended your stay a little bit here.
Yeah, I just came to Montreal a few days
ago.
ago.
I've had enough of Greece for a while. You were there for the whole 2 years, like 2020 or 2020, 2021 in Athens? Okay.
Yeah. I actually just took at some point I just took a really quick trip to Montreal a few months ago. It was 6 months ago, but like for like a year and a half, I was in Greece. Which again, it helped me focus a lot on writing, and this is why right now I'm preparing my next project. But it's not easy for musicians because artists, we really feed on inspiration all the time. Like this is a part. I feel like it's important for every single human being, regardless of your career choice. But you really need the change of scenery. It's very, very important. So yeah, it was.
I agree 100%. Yeah, in the beginning, it was kind of like, well, this is kind of cool. I just like remember goofing around and just having some things, and then after a few months. After 4 months, I think that's when everyone started going like, okay, this is not just going to be a couple months. We're not going to be okay by the summer. And then it tried to open and it was like, nope, we're still not okay. And then next year nope, we're still not okay. And this is the first time, knock on plastic table over here. Like, it seems like I know everything's coming back and shows and it feels normal again. And it's great. When you were in this whole period the EP was done, right? And so you were working on obviously putting out singles with videos and keeping momentum via that, and waiting for the 2022
and the visuals. And again, because I'm very involved in everything, like even just putting together a music video, for me it is like many times, it might be like 2 months of like a full-time job, definitely. So I even though I'm signed to Universal in Greece, I still kind of always feel like I'm working because I want to have control in everything that I kind of put out as much as possible, of course. But it feels DIY most of the time, really, like I kind of identify a lot as an independent artist, even though I'm a signed artist. In the way that I work, I really like in the spirit of the work, I feel like independent artist.
Yeah, I mean, and I think even, bigger signed artists these days, that's the expectation, right? You kind of deliver. It's not like where once upon a time you get this huge advance and the label goes, okay, now we're going to do everything, right? You kind of do all these things and you're like, okay, we're ready to distribute this. And
yes, I mean, I feel privileged to have support from a label, to have financial support, because it's not something that comes easy, and it's not, obviously our work is something that's very expensive, and it's not like I grew up with the resources, to be like, okay, whatever, I could fully do it on my own. So something that I'm very grateful for, and Greece has been really good to me, like especially when I first started out, really good to me on that, and also just being able to do really big shows in Greece and having the experience of like really big stages and really good like productions that were that you can feel like I could actually do something. It's not like that kind of, okay, like we're gonna start with absolutely nothing and like just like playing in front of two people and everything is coming out of your pocket, which is something that I respect like crazy. And of course the job comes with a ton of sacrifices, and anyway, I feel like I've sacrificed everything to do music, my choice, my personal choice. But Greece was something that from the beginning gave me that opportunity, because it's a smaller market, it's a smaller industry, and having that support from a label, I was just able to experience bigger productions earlier on, which is something that I learned a lot from.
Yeah.
So I'm for that.
Well, like the big TV thing, the Eurovision thing, it's like you said, I mean, there's so much to be learned. You're diving right in, to this higher level and like learning like really at a higher level about the like it's getting a PhD in this whole art of performing and preparing and the whole thing, right?
I mean, I was when I did Eurovision, I already had on how many years like in the industry. I was already around 5 to 6 years. But again, like something like that is something you can't, I don't know. I mean, it's massive. It's massive. So you can never really be fully prepared. But yeah, I think that Greece has helped me in some ways dive into these situations and circumstances where it's always been very challenging. Mm-hmm. Again, it comes with its pros and its cons. But in general, I don't believe in shortcuts. I believe that you really have to put in the work, and that's
one way or another. I think that is the truth. Yeah, 99% of the time. I want to ask you about that. Speaking of big performances, like in Greece, concert hall. Let's see So you performed with Swedish singer. How do you say Albin Lee Maldo? Is that how you pronounce it?
That was a collaboration. That was a collaboration that was meant to happen. I think you've probably seen a poster of it or something, but it was meant to happen, and we were twice actually. Is such an unlucky circumstance, but we had met in Athens for the promo of the shows, and I think we didn't have like power at the end of the day. It was a crazy like rainstorm.
Oh yeah. What crazy. About Petros?
We prepared for the show, and the show obviously had kept canceled. But anyway.
Okay, I'm literally looking at Wikipedia.
Oh, okay.
Petros Klampanis. Jesus, sorry, person, that I ruined your name. Who is that? Did you perform with them?
Who?
Petros.
Oh, Klampanis. Yeah, he's an incredible upright bass player. He's amazing. He's a jazz musician. He was actually based in New York for many, many years, and he had made a name for himself. And we've done a few projects together. He's amazing. Yeah, I also, jazz is also a field that I've been quite inspired by. I don't know if you can. I'm not sure if you can hear that in my music, but maybe in the way that I sing, I feel like it's definitely there.
I could see that. I was going to ask you about vocal influences, and I think I can definitely get that sense of that. Some of that, the stylistically, just in the vocals, right? I think that does come through a bit. I mean, even though it's very pop oriented, I suppose, like I think you have that sensibility. It's a very sort of soulful, sultry type of voice. Yeah. Like, what are your inspirations, or who do you liken yourself to? That might be a weird question, but
you really described it so well. Thank you for that. I mean, I grew up listening to a lot of R&B pop music, so like Lauryn Hill, like I was really like those soulful voices, and then I got really into like Ella Fitzgerald and Sarah Vaughan and Billie Holiday and all those classic jazz voices, which I was incredibly in love with. But at the same time, I also loved like Gwen Stefani. Like I always like loved like kind of like that female vocalists that had that rock edge to them. Mm-hmm. So I think that all of that has kind of culminated. I mean, I don't know. And at the same time, I've listened to so much Greek music, which is whole other, world. So I feel like I'm a mix of, I guess we all are a mix of so many things that we've been exposed to and, listen to. But my first love was really with, jazz voices and R&B voices and soul voices. That was my.
Yeah. Oh man, the ones you cited, like Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday. I love Nina Simone is another one.
Oh, no, of course, Nina Simone. I mean, tons of
ridiculously talented musician in general.
She was for me. She's just one of the like really top of the list. Incredible inspiration. I'm terrible when I have to cite my influences. To be honest,
it's hard. Yeah,
because there's it's like. So easy to black out because there's so many.
Who's your favorite guitar player? And I have to list like 45 people that I'm like, and then a whole lot more. It's just like it's so hard to be like, oh, it's this.
I like Frusciante. I think he's like the first. I love the sensitivity that he brings in the genre.
Wait, say that again.
Frusciante?
Oh, guitar players. Okay, yeah. That's what I forgot I mentioned guitar, and I was like, that was random to go from your, Billie Holiday to, we're talking about guitars. Yeah, no, it's great that he's, I think, back with the Chili Peppers and they're touring, I think, now, and it's like this big thing.
That's like a wish list concert for sure. For sure.
Oh, what was your first concert? I know you got to go here soon. What was your first concert?
My first concert. What was my first concert? I'm going to tell you the first concert I remember. And the first concert that I remember, I mean, I'm sure I had been to many concerts with my parents, and I had seen quite a few Greek artists that were, touring in Montreal and Canada. But I think my first like super memorable concert were the Backstreet Boys. Like that was like,
that was Vic's first concert.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were going.
I could not believe I had never been exposed to that kind of madness. Where just you kind of feel like you're gonna practically you're like from like the first like note.
Were you a teenager?
Being demolished in there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Was this like teenager years or younger? Like, I mean, you were a girl, like a little girl, or
early teens, yeah.
Yeah, so I can imagine. I mean, and I'm like the first concert I went to as an early teen was like Metallica and Guns N' Roses, this huge freaking rock concert in a arena or whatever, and it's just like so incredible and exciting. Like it's definitely, and for me who had just started playing guitar and was like getting in, I mean, I was just like, oh my God, this is the most amazing. Little did I know that for the rest of my life I'd play shithole dive bars and suffer immensely, but like and never do that. But it was awesome. I mean, it's the energy and the excitement. I mean, it's I thank God live music's back, right? Because it's such an incredible thing. You can't emulate that experience, like being there in the energy, the crowd. I remember seeing the Chili Peppers at the Austin City Limits Festival, and they just killed it. I mean, it was incredible, the energy. And I could cite a million concerts, but
they're legends. They're one of the, I think, for me, they're one of my favorite bands, and extremely special. All of them, like just they're all geniuses in what they do.
Are we still talking about the Backstreet Boys?
Oh, sorry. No, I thought we were talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers right now.
Oh, okay, cool. So look at me getting all confused. I mean, look, I'm like not at a point now. I'm like at a point where like I love all kinds of music and I respect, so I'm not like, oh, what a stupid boy bands, bunch. I mean, I'm sure they're great. I'm sure I've never seen the Backstreet Boys, but Vic, little tip, and I don't remember when this came up. I was having a conversation the other day with some girls, and like, God help me, I don't even know if it was my fiance. I don't even remember who it was. But someone said like, well, jokingly around, like that whole thing came up. And they're like, who do you like better, the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC? And if you really want to impress a girl, then you just say, oh, I was always a 98 Degrees fan. And then they're just like, oh my God, he knows his boy bands, right?
I'll remember that. Yeah,
so that's a little. Am I right, Katerine? Is that?
I mean,
they were always the third wheel, but
grew up on boy bands and girl bands, so
who didn't, right? Yeah,
90s, like I mean, for me, I can't. I'm biased, but and I think that they've all left their little like they've all left history. I mean, so
absolutely, yeah.
I have a lot like, I mean, growing up. And before doing music, I feel like I was a lot more judgmental, or a lot more like maybe like more like snobby.
Yeah.
Music, I went through a phase like that, and going into this profession, and just seeing how much work you need to just for the simplest things has really made me respect any artist, even artists that I feel like I don't. It's not in my, they're not in my aesthetic or they're not in my taste, but just the work that you need to put into to be a good performer or you have a good record. It's insane. So yeah,
right. Absolute. It's huge sacrifice, huge amount of work. And I think that right away, I learned that too. And I mean, the sign of an amateur is someone who doesn't play or who's just getting started. The teenage kid in his parents' basement who's just trolling on people, leaving mean comments on YouTube. It's like, you are obviously not a musician. You've never done this, because once you do that, you do get humbled and you realize like the work and the effort it takes, and you're much less likely to talk shit.
Absolutely. I've never been able to say anything negative publicly about anybody. even when I wasn't a musician, I don't know how. I always feel like it's such a bad sign of someone's.
I mean, look at me and Vic. That's what we do. We're terrible people. Which leads me to my next question. No, we're not going to do this to you. First of all, I know you got to go. Secondly, like, you're way too nice, and I would never do this and put someone on the spot. But we started this thing that, like, because everyone has their influences, and we could talk about this for hours, of course. And we were like, but everyone has bands that just, like, you don't have to like everything. It's subjective, and everyone has bands that are like, ugh, I don't like that voice. And we came with this thing, the Bermuda Triangle bands. Like, what 3 bands would you just send off to sea to play infinitely in the Bermuda Triangle, never to return to civilization to play for the rest of us again? But you don't have to answer that because you like everybody.
That's go against what I just said. Like I try.
Oh, I know.
And of course, I feel that there's a place. There's a place for everybody in this world. There's a place for everybody, for all tastes, for all perspectives, for all music, for all types of music. Of course, there are many, many different genres that I'm not into, that I don't necessarily enjoy listening to. But I always try to push myself to try to find what people find in every single thing. Like, what is it? What is it? Like, I try to just, let go of my own perception.
Well, as a songwriter and an artist, I think it's important to have that open mind, and I think a lot of people do in this homogenized world where everything's accessible and all online. We can go listen to all kinds of music. It's once upon a time, I think it was a little more niche because you had your bands you knew and you liked, and you'd read about and you'd go buy their albums. Now it's all out there, so I think most people nowadays listen to a huge variety, right? And also, like, as an artist, you're like, I try to do that too. Like, there's stuff that I just don't like, that doesn't move me. It's not, but I can listen to it and be like, wow, that's fantastic production. That's a really great melody. Try to find that and, like, learn from that, because it makes you a better artist and producer.
I think for me, it's just a state of mind to always try to see beauty. Even where it's difficult for you to see it, to try to see it. And I feel like you can always break free of your own, perceptions, and always find something that will surprise you and have something to learn from that. So, that's something that I try to apply every day in my life. And I try to apply it as an artist, in my music as well. And I've really grown from that. I don't want to be that artist that's like, oh, you have to be something very specific in order to earn respect, or you have to be this. Or I grew up with so many rules, and I was like such a well-behaved child, and it was always like, like boxes, boxes, boxes. And the reason why I chose music is because music helped me liberate myself from all these rules all the time. It's a place of freedom. It's a place of thinking outside of the box. It's a place of reinventing yourself.
Yeah, I love that you said that, because as an artist, to me, that's the whole point, right? And that's why, like, if it's subjective, even if you're listening to something that you're not, like, doesn't resonate or move with you, like, that might totally resonate with someone else. And I think the authenticity of the music that someone's creating is the most important thing, right? As long as you're being true to yourself and being you and growing as a person, telling your stories, doing whatever it is you're doing. That's the point.
Exactly. And it's really not easy to create in an unfiltered way. Like, the more that you get into it, the harder it becomes, actually. In the beginning, you're kind of ignorant as well. You're not exposed to what people expect of you, or what people actually like, or what works, what doesn't work. And the more that you keep doing it, it's very hard to preserve that authenticity. But, for me, it's always the goal. And it's always like, I try to kind of shape my life in ways in order to keep that alive, to salvage that authenticity, to be able to just kind of, okay, like, I kind of have to let go of everything else around and just kind of deep inside. And what is it that's really true to you right now? And I always support that in every artist, and every change that an artist has, I don't snub it at all. I feel like just be free and do whatever you want. You can be a million things. It's fine.
Man, this is just so beautiful. Like, I think Katerine, like, I just want to, like, we should have something. We should have the positive message from Katerine every week on the podcast. So just, and now for something positive, like two old grumpy guys just bitching about shit. And then you can come on and be like, it's about love and being, and, like, it's good. I like your message. Your attitude's great.
The most romantic people are also the most cynical people. It depends on, I understand I understand the grumpiness. I also have that side. Oh, big time, trust me. But it's always fighting with like, because people that I feel like are, sometimes they're like going against stuff. It's just people that care. That's why they're thinking, and they're always contemplating. They're always challenging their minds. So there's always that spark of, like the love spark in there anyway. I understand.
Like a minor little like bipolar sort of, like there's big swings up, because I feel like you get super inspired and you have these moments where you're super passionate all in, and then there's those other times that you're just kind of beaten down and frustrated. I think that's a natural part of being an artist.
When you're a passionate person, you're passionate in general. You can't just be like, oh yeah, everything's good all the time.
I'm going to turn my passion on from 8 to 5, and then I'm done with my passion today. Yeah. I'm taking the day off from passion, everybody.
That's what I'm saying. Passionate people are passionate when it's good and passionate when it's bad. I mean, it's kind of goes with the territory.
Well, hey, okay, so we're going to let you go. I know you need to go. Thank you so much for making time for us today. I mean, it's been a challenge to get this podcast together, but I'm so glad we were able to talk to you. It's been great.
Really glad as well. I'm really glad that we met at South by, that you were there at the show. It's always great to remember shows with people that were at the shows. Like, it's a wonderful feeling, and you're definitely one of those people. And thank you for having me on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I keep blabbing. Vic's like, dude, stop. But this is what I do. I just want to say this is really funny, right? Like, so when I met you, and completely grumpy, like, I mean, fuck, man, it's South by. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of people. I'm just like, I don't want to go out, but I was like, definitely wanted to come see you and Leon. And so I'm going down there, and I'm just like cruising down, and you guys, I mean, you played several shows, but I think I caught maybe the last show you did. It was like the Saturday or something. It was at a place called the Iron Bear. And it didn't dawn on me. And I guess, during South by, every place is a music venue. And you played, I think, some outdoors and all these different things, but you played at this bar. And so I go to this bar, and it didn't occur to me. And I walk in, and it's a gay bar, right? Iron Bear. And I was like, oh, the Iron Bear. And a gay bar is great because it's a mix of like beautiful women and dudes in really tight shorts and cowboy boots and loud clothes. And I just got to say, I mean, it was a great show. I had a great time. But one of the funniest things about that place is some of the merchandise they had. Did you see some of the shirts and some of the stuff on the wall?
Oh, I mean, no.
All these hilarious innuendos, and I think it was one of the bartenders or maybe a bouncer, a guy that worked there, and forgive me for being crass, is that, I don't even know what that word means, vulgar on this podcast.
I'm Greek.
Okay, good. You like olives and vulgarity? Got it. Okay, cool. So this guy had a fucking shirt, and he looked kind of like, I mean, like a big bear, but like a tough bouncer type. And he just had this tight shirt that, the come at me, bro. Instead of come at me, bro, it said come in me, bro. That shirt is amazing. I totally want to get that shirt and wear it on stage.
What?
Just to confuse people. I don't know. It's awesome. I like it.
It's, what? I feel like, I don't know if it's the Southern temperament, but I really feel like, because it's a Mediterranean, we're not filtered. We're very passionate, and we speak. And I really felt that in Texas, people were very genuine in that way. Very unfiltered in that way. Yeah, especially in Austin. I think it's very. There's a lot of different people from around the world. A lot of culture. Of course, it's an open, liberal place. But I just loved I just loved their sense of humor too. I can't believe I missed this merch. Like this, I'm so sad right now. Don't worry, I'll send you a link. I got Google "Come in me, bro" T-shirt on Amazon here when we get off the podcast. I'm gonna send it to you too, Vic. Okay,
I'll wear it at the next 98 Degrees concert.
Oh hell yeah, dude! Let's do this. Let's do this, man.
Are they still playing? Are they still touring?
I don't know. I'll do a little research for you on that one.
Yeah.
We should all go to a boy band concert. I'm there 100%. I think I mean Backstreet Boys are touring right now. Okay. Yeah. I feel like I would love that. I think they're in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. I think they are. Holy shit. I was just in Vegas. Backstreet Boys are playing in Vegas right now. You're 100% right. Yep. Yeah. I think it's just
I think it would be iconic, like full circle to just
For sure. Yeah, you should.
Vegas. Yeah.
Okay, so next time you're in the U.S., Vic and I are gonna make some phone calls. We're gonna make sure the Backstreet Boys get down here to Austin, and we'll all have Mexican food and see the Backstreet Boys. That's the game plan. Katerine, where can people find you online? What's the best place to get in touch with you? Find your music?
Well, of course, Spotify, obviously, and all this. I'm most active on Instagram, but I have Facebook, I have TikTok, I have Twitter, just everything. So Katerine Duska on Instagram, and YouTube.
Right, definitely YouTube. People should definitely check out your videos too. Again, love your music, and thanks for making the time. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, next time we'll try to do it to where we can talk longer, but I know Vic's relieved where I'm not rambling for 2 hours. So I think this worked out just great. All right, well, enjoy your weekend. My
weekend.
Or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, I guess it's a weekend. It's still the same in Montreal. It's only an hour ahead.
No, I said my Easter weekend.
Your Easter weekend.
Yeah.
I'm so confused. There's so many holidays I can't keep up. And I just did a run of gigs and I'm so freaking tired right now. Like that. I wake up and I've got messages and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm hitting up Vic and I'm like, dude, are you ready? And he's like, it's not 3, right? And I'm like, no, Eastern time. Whoops, my bad. So anyway, it all worked out with our super professional podcast.
It's confusing. I've gotten confused quite a few times here as well. So.
At least you were in Montreal and not Greece. That made it much easier. So thank you for staying on this continent. We were able to do this. All right, everybody. Yeah. Katerine Duska, check her out. Her music's awesome. And once again, this has been Eclectic Soundtrax with Skunk Manhattan and Victor Ramos. Until next time, later.
Hey, folks. That concludes another episode of the podcast. Guest links will be available in the show notes. We'd like to thank our friends at Top Shelf Music for showcasing the podcast on their site. Be sure and check them out at topshelfmusicmag.com for the latest music news, reviews, and events. We'd also like to thank the folks over at Tragan Guitars, Godin Guitars, Ernie Ball Strings, and 5 Iron Woodworks. Have a great week and catch you on the next one.